Hi, everybody. My name is Aliah. I'm here with 4AR people. And as you know, we are in legislative session, and I'm going to give a little bit of an update and then also just talk about some bad bills, as I always do. So let's get into it. Stay tuned for the whole video, and let's check it out. All right, so I first want to start off with a little update about Arkansas Access, which, as you know, is the governor's big higher education plan, which the original bill called for like prohibitions on, or like prohibit unexcused absences for protests, for the advocacy of for or against legislation, like things like that. So, and that's for high school and college students. So, it got heard in committee last week, or this week, I think Monday. It got heard in committee on Monday. And so many students showed up to testify against it, which was so great to see, because there were students from high school, there were students from college, there were so many students. They did a really good job, and because they showed up to testify against this, there was an amendment that they voted on the floor, or not on the floor, in the committee. And the amendment was for K through 12 to prohibit all those things I said except for protests. So students could show up to the Capitol and testify against or for legislation and things like that. Because that was like one of the biggest things. It's like, why would you prevent student advocacy? Like, why would you do that? Also, protests should be allowed in rallies and everything like that. There's no set definition for protests in this, which is also important to note. But they did that amendment. It would require parental approval, and it only applies to K through 12 if students want to show up and advocate at the Capitol and take off school. Now, you may be wondering, what does it matter if it's unexcused absence? They can still go. They can still go even if it's unexcused or not. In high school, when you're in high school, you only get so many absences before you are considered truant. And so it feels as though if students go and advocate as much as they want, they will eventually get punished for missing all those days by the government because of truancy. That's not allowed. So yes, this still is wrong, because like the amendment is not a big change, because what about like rallies? What about protests? What about marches? And these alone are also like learning experiences, though. It's like, yeah, like education is important, but that in itself is a type of education. So, Arkansas Access passed in the committee, and next it's going to the chamber. It was a joint committee between the House and the Senate Education Committees. And so it's going to the chamber floor, and we will keep you updated on that. But that is a little update on Arkansas Access and where it sits now. Let's move on to some bad bills that are very bad. Let's go. All right, so the first bad bill I want to talk about is House Bill 1615, which we've talked a little bit about this already on like our other platforms, but I don't know if I've ever mentioned this one in a YouTube video. So House Bill 1615 is an act to amend the law concerning religious non-discrimination and for other purposes. And the primary sponsor on this, the House sponsor, is Representative Lundstrom, and then the Senator sponsor is Senator Stubblefield. So to amend the law concerning religious non-discrimination. What does that mean? So it would prohibit government discrimination against religious organizations based upon the religious organization's religious identity or conduct. It gets worse. It gets worse. So it would prohibit the government from discriminating against certain individuals and organizations because of their beliefs regarding marriage or what it means to be female or male. And ensure that individuals and organizations cannot be compelled either by the government or through a lawsuit initiated by a private party to engage in conduct that conflicts with their beliefs or be punished or discriminated against for declining to engage in conduct that conflicts with their beliefs. So you may be wondering, what does this apply to? Well, in the bill itself, it mentions a lot of services that relate to marriage or like having a wedding. So it mentions a public educational institution within the state shall not require a license-seeking student to assist or provide services to a client or potential client in pursuit of goals, outcomes, or behaviors that conflict with the student's sincerely held religious belief unless it is demonstrated that the requirement that the person assist or provide services in this particular instance is essential, least restrictive, things like that. So a license-seeking student, public educational institution. I wonder if that applies to medical students, or anything relating to the medical field, because that is scary. Let's continue. All right, so it says the state government shall not take any discriminatory action against a person who wholly or partially on the basis that the person has provided or declined to provide the following services, accommodations, facilities, goods, or privileges. So some named services include photography, poetry, videography, disc jockey services, wedding planning, printing, web design, graphic design, publishing, counseling, or similar marriage-related goods or services, floral arrangements, dressmaking, cake or pastry artistry, assembly hall or other wedding venue rentals, car or other vehicle service rentals, jewelry sales and services, or similar marriage-related services, accommodations, facilities, or goods. Maintain separate dress codes, restrooms, spas, bath showers, dressing rooms, locker rooms, or other intimate facilities or settings based on biological sex. The state government shall not take any discriminatory action against a state government employee wholly or partially on the basis that the state government employee lawfully speaks or engages in expressive conduct based upon or in a manner consistent with a belief about biological sex or marriage. If the state government employee's speech or expressive conduct occurs in the workplace, outside the workplace. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, guys. So obviously this bill is aimed towards same-sex couples and transgender people or persons. And that is very disheartening because that is their business. I said we did an Instagram post where it's like the Arkansas legislature is obsessed with your personal life. And this just goes to show how obsessed they really are. They're obsessed with who you marry. We talked about HB 1554 and how they're obsessed with how you plan a family. They're obsessed with who you plan a family with. They're obsessed with who you are as a person. And I think this is absolutely ridiculous and a complete overreach of authority. And I'd love to see how far this gets. So HB 1615 is going to be in the House Judiciary Committee first. It hasn't been heard. It's been on the agenda for like a week or so now. And it is on the agenda for the 13th of March. So I'm not sure if it'll actually be heard then, but it is on the agenda for then. As far as I know, it has not been deferred or anything. So that is something that we can look out for. Okay, moving on to the next very bad bill. All right, the next very, very bad bill is House Bill 1669. Primary sponsor is Representative Mary Bentley. You remember her from the two-time failed Baby Olivia Act, right? And then the senator sponsor is Senator Clark. All right, so this one is very similar to the last one, except it focuses on adoption and foster care. So it is an act to create the Keep Kids First Act to provide for protections from discrimination for adoption and foster care providers acting in accordance with sincerely held religious beliefs, to provide a vehicle for recovery by adoption and foster care providers acting in accordance with sincerely held religious beliefs when certain discriminatory actions are taken against the faith-based adoption and foster care providers and for other purposes. So that's just the title. Obviously, that's pretty much what it does. So it would prevent the government from taking action against like faith-based foster care and adoption service providers based on a sincerely held religious belief. And then not only that, but the penalties kind of include any like tax penalties or anything that would like withhold, reduce, exclude, terminate, materially alter the terms or conditions or otherwise unavailable to deny grants, contracts, subcontracts, cooperative agreement, guarantee loan, scholarship, or other similar benefit, things like that. So this is also targeted towards same-sex couples and trans people, persons, and it's wrong. So it actually says in the beginning of this, the state of Arkansas seeks to place children in a safe, loving, and supportive home when it must place a child with an adoptive or foster family. So it's to me, it's like, to me, that's kind of like implying that just because like someone, a family whose maybe religious beliefs aren't the same as yours, or they live in a way that contradicts with your religious beliefs in any way or whatever, they're inherently unsafe, unloving, and unsupportive. And that is wrong. And I think that is very much like, for lack of a better word, bigoted. I don't know if that's gonna make it in. I don't know if I can say that, but yeah, it's just not cool at all. None of these are. And I would like to know how many children Representative Bentley has personally adopted. That would be interesting to me, because it's like, there's so many children in our foster and adoptive centers and things like that. There's so many children that need good, loving, supportive homes. So why would you deny good, supportive, loving parents the opportunity to adopt, regardless of any like beliefs that contradict with yours? That just because their beliefs contradict with yours, it does not make them unsafe, unloving, unsupportive. So that is my main takeaway from that. It's like, do not assume that because someone's beliefs contradict with yours that they're then an unsafe, unloving, unsupportive home. Also, it's like, if you were going to go into the adoption foster care world, if you were going to be an adoption and foster care provider, why would you go in knowing that you want to deny certain parents and families the opportunity to adopt and foster children who need them? Why would you even do that? But yeah, that's all on that. I think that's the last bill we're going to go over. So yeah, make sure y'all look out for this one. This one is in the Aging Children and Youth in Legislative Affairs House Committee. And it is on the schedule currently on the schedule for March 12th, but it's March 12th as I'm recording this, and they have not heard it. So be on the lookout for that. We will keep you updated on all our other platforms. And yeah, that's all on that. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. It has been a pleasure. Make sure you look out for Arkansas Access, House Bill 1615 and House Bill 1669. Call the people on those committees. Tell them you don't love this. Call your legislator with Arkansas Access. They're all going to hear it on the chamber floor here soon. So make sure you call them. Tell them, no, you don't want it. We don't want any of these. Make sure you follow all of our legislative coverage. We are still in legislative session. If I didn't say that already, obviously we are. So make sure you follow our legislative coverage on Instagram, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on TikTok, on YouTube, also on Facebook. I always forget Facebook. So make sure you check those out. Thank you so much for watching. It has been real. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time.